In efficacy of vibration exercise as a warm-up modality for overground sprinting, some researchers thought that it might be a useful idea to put some people on a vibration plate as a warm-up and go mock compete in sprinting in comparison to doing a conventional type warm-up and then going and mock competing in sprinting. So in a nutshell, they put 10 male and female sprinters who could run 11.35 second 100 meters for males and 12.82 meters second 100 meters sprints for females on either a warm-up with a traditional warm-up or they did a vibration type warm-up. Now, the author's description of these subjects was that they were national level athletes, and this looks to be a bit of a stretch. For the males, that average 1.35 second time for 100 meters is over a second slower than the slowest male in the 2015 USA Nationals, and it's 0.64 seconds slower than the slowest seed in the Australian Nationals. But further, in the local context where I'm at, that's about the level of an average U.S. high school competitive sprinter. Now, it could be that these kids were previously competitors in junior national events in the past, but that wasn't stated or implied in this particular paper. So let's hop right to the conventional warm-up. What they listed as conventional is, I'm going to read these, a 450 meter jog, a 20 windmills, 20 setups, 20 push-ups, 10 lunges on each leg, 10 high knee skips, 10 high leg skips, and 20 butt kicks. And at the end, they put a ramp of 3 increasing intensity 40-meter sprints that ended at about 95% of max. That warm-up, we can counterpoint that to what we also see as a typical competitor's warm-up. This one is from USA Track and Field. It's a screen cap from a USATF-related site. Now, it appears that there is some discrepancy in between the researchers' warm-up and the ones that are proposed for competitors. But it was essentially that this was a very long, non-specific warm-up with lots of things having to be done and crammed into 15 minutes. It was almost like doing a short workout before an actual training session, a workout before a workout. Now, I've seen a lot worse in the real world, but they often weren't quite successful in eliciting maximal performance. So what we did, or what they did, was that they put individuals on a vibration platform, just like this one up here, and they put them in this position down below. Okay, this is a vibration at about, their knees are at about 50 degrees here, and they're on this vibration platform, which is going up and down at 26 hertz. Now, and they did 10 1-minute sessions of vibration, followed by 30 seconds of rest in between. Okay. They really didn't describe the positions that were actually used here very well. We are making some assumptions here, but these are some photographs of some previous research on this particular apparatus that describe the 50-degree knee angle. Okay, and they didn't actually describe whether individuals were holding on and maintaining balance, holding on at all. And you notice in this particular diagram right here is that we have one individual who's leaning forward and one individual who's leaning back. None of these variables were described. So, what are the outcomes of this particular paper? The researchers say that there were absolutely no differences in results and that vibration was as good as a standard warm-up in preparing someone to go out for full-on competitive sprints. But let's actually look at how they got to that conclusion. It really sort of appears that they were somewhat statistically creative with their p-values. Now, it's standard to use a p-value of 0.05 to indicate statistical significance. There's been lots of arguments about statistics in exercise science and in science in general, but we're talking about convention here, what we normally do. Now, this isn't perfect, but it's what's done in exercise, basically all exercise research. Crudely, what 0.05, a p of 0.05 represents is that the probability of the result being an error is less than 5%. So it gives us a degree of confidence in the result being true. Now, for some reason, the researchers picked a 0.01 p-value rather than the standard p.05. Now, yes, this could yield a better result, a more true, if you want to call it, result, because it crudely suggests that the chance that the result is the result of error is less than 1%. Okay. Now, that's nice. It's statistically strong. However, what's the motivation that led them to break with convention and everyone else in the exercise science industry? Well, there was no explanation provided of why they did this. Now, if you consider this paper with using a p-value of 0.05 as indicative of statistical significance, then the tested 40-meter sprint times produced by the vibration trials were significantly slower, statistically significantly slower, as there was a p-value of equal to 0.05, describing the 0.09 seconds slower post-vibration result compared to traditional warm-ups. All right. Now, most researchers really like to have significant findings, although non-significant findings are quite informative as well, and those should be published as with equal priority as those with significant findings. Most researchers use the default 0.5, so why not here is the question. It's almost as though these researchers, were trying to find a similarity of outcome to justify using a vibration platform device in sports. And also their writing seems to suggest this. They actually come up with and state a quote: "It is reasonable to conclude that VBX vibration may be used as an alternative warm-up for sprinting over 40 meters." But think of it. If it doesn't improve upon existing protocols in producing better performance, why would we want to invest $5,000 to $15,000 on a single piece of equipment that can only warm up one person at a time? Why would we want to use money that could be spent on supporting and training athletes and funding their ways to competition? I'm just asking that. The authors go on to state that given its time efficiency and suggested relatively low metabolic cost, vibration may be suitable warm-up for activities requiring multiple sprints over a competition day or game period. This is odd logic, and I'm really unsure of where they came up with it. Time efficiency. Both warm-ups were 15 minutes. So where is the improved time efficiency? That's unclear. One warm-up requires absolutely no equipment other than track shoes, normal running gear. One requires one or more expensive pieces of equipment, So where is the financial and practical efficiency of this particular finding? And low metabolic cost. Okay. Vibration has a low metabolic cost in this instance. They don't even test or measure this in this paper, and as such, this statement is outside the scope of the conclusions possible for this paper. What they've actually done is tried to paint a very rosy picture for the use of vibration without actually having data to support that. But let's actually get back to the numbers and some reality here. That 0.09 second reduction, increase in time taken to cover 40 meters. Would the time increase, the velocity reduction, over 100 meters be larger? In the real world, 0.09 seconds in the 100 meters is the difference between a gold medal and a bronze medal, and the difference between being on the podium and being 5th or 8th place. Would you be comfortable telling an Olympic, national, or even a state competitor to forego their warm-ups and go stand on a vibration platform and then go compete based on the results of this paper? I'm not sure that any coach or athlete anywhere would change from a traditional warm-up to a mechanized vibration warm-up if there was no gain to be had. There is no gain demonstrated in this paper. And if we use the traditional 0.05 p-value, there's a very, very high likelihood that you will be running slower. Now let's talk about the practical part here. As a coach, are you going to be willing to pay for a $5,000 to $15,000 piece of equipment that weighs 100 to 200 pounds? And are you going to haul that piece of equipment to every competition around the region, around the country, or around the world? Are you going to run, and how are you going to run a extension cord from electrical cord from the outlet, the quarter mile or mile that you have to go to actually get it to the point of use, if it's out in the field? If it's a indoor track, you might have a little bit better chance of doing so. And are you going to do this? Invest the time, the money, and the chance of poorer performance, all for the benefit of making your athletes run slower? The answer to this is probably no. There's no practical evidence, there's no justification for doing this based on this particular paper.